What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader, and I have some treats for you today. The Ahsoka effect is what I'm calling this, because I do think that the new Ahsoka series is very well done. It reminds me, in terms of the vibes I get, of Season 1 of The Mandalorian. I really feel like it's fresh. It feels like Star Wars. It's a good story. It's got me hooked, and I really enjoy it. And I think that while the TVC market is somewhat down, vintage loose graded gems are still up, and rarity wins and high grade wins. And as you can tell by this thumbnail, the prices have not disappointed. I'm going to cover mainly 2 vintage Star Wars auctions over in the UK. Almost all of these are UK graded. But man, the prices were unbelievable on some really nice high-grade gems. We've got some last 17. Now, before I start this video, I got to show you this one. Okay, this one comes up maybe once every year or 2 or 3. It's very rare. And this one was for sale over on Facebook in a group called The Rebel Hideout. And as you can tell, he watermarked the photos for this. So that's why there's watermarks on this, because there's a lot of scammers out there, and he's trying to prevent people from scamming it. But I got to show it to you, because this is a prototype Bib Fortuna graded AFA 85 with a prototype white robe. And it's pretty incredible. He listed it for sale this past weekend as of the filming of this video on the 18th. And I'm going to cough my way through this video. I'm still a little sick. But this was an archival case, AFA 85. And as you can see, it's just an incredible item that I don't know if it's the same one or if it's a different one that comes up, or if there's multiple examples of this, but it seems like Rebel Hideout always seems to get this particular white-robed Bib Fortuna for sale. Now, it was listed for $25,000. $25,000. Here's the label on it. Bib Fortuna, white cape. Pretty incredible. It doesn't say prototype on there. Here is the certificate of authenticity. So, again, I don't know exactly what this is, because it's not labeled a prototype. And it's just a variation of some sort that I guess was very limited production. It could have been a salesman's sample that was, put on to Empire Strikes Back cards, sent out to different retailers saying, hey, here's what Bib Fortuna is going to look like. And maybe it came off the card, and they graded it outside of the Empire Strikes Back mock-up packaging. But it was for sale for $25,000, and it sold within an hour or 2. It did not last long, but I had to show it to you just because it's so rare. But that was on the Rebel Hideout on Facebook, and he does get really awesome items sometimes, so go check him out. I've bought from him in the past. I've bought some baggies from him and a few other items, but beautiful example of a prototype. All right, let's dig into these auctions that sold. And there were 2 different sellers. The first one is Treasures from the Attic. I've never bought from this seller, but wow, they came out of the gate swinging with some incredible items. This is a UKG 90% no COO brown-haired Luke farm boy. So not a U, but a 90 grade, straight 90s for the subscores. Now, as a reference point, I have an AFA 85 for this figure. I think I paid like $600 for it, which was a lot of money at the time. This one looks better than mine, okay? But it got a 90, and it sold for 2,057 pounds, which is 2,550 US dollars. I could not believe this sales price. I was thinking maybe $800, $900, somewhere in there, but there was a bidding war, I guess, and it did get $2,550 for the final sales price. I just could not believe that for a fairly common figure. I mean, this particular COO and hair type, it's not hard to find. This one appeared on Tri-Logos as well as Palatoy card backs, but it is hard to find it in a 90 grade. But I just could not believe that sales price. Mind blowing. Here was a Red Bar R5 D4 graded 90% from UKG. That's the highest grade I've ever seen for a Red Bar R5 and a 90 grade. Wow. 1 of 1, and I would imagine that it probably is 1 of 1 on the UKG census, if there is such a thing, but I've never seen a 90 grade. That one sold for 1,800 pounds, which is 2,245 US dollars. That's the highest price I've seen for a Red Bar R5, loose graded, ever. I mean, mint on card, I've seen them kind of 2,600, 3,500, anywhere in there. Maybe even higher than that, depending on the overall condition of the card back and blister. But for a loose graded R5D4, $22.50 is a big number. That is a massive, massive number. I could not believe it sold for that. Next up, we're going to dig into maybe some lower priced items, but I thought this one was kind of cool. This was called a short pour Boba Fett, standard Hong Kong. But as you can see, when they injected the plastic into the mold for Boba Fett, they didn't put enough in there. So as a result, Boba Fett is old stumpy toes. It looks like Jaws got a hold of that foot and gnawed it off, because it is a small kind of short pour on the foot. And that's what they call that. They call those short pours when there's not enough plastic that was injected into the original mold during the factory manufacturing process. And as a result, you get a short pour. Sometimes you get it on hands where the hand is kind of nubbed off. In this case, it was the foot. But anyway, that one did sell for 122 pounds, which is 151 US dollars. Just kind of a cool factory error. It's, just a simple factory error. Next up was a Taiwan with the V5 blaster for Boba Fett. This one was a UKG 85% with a 90% subscore. So figure got a 90, paint got an 85 for an overall 85%. That's a beautiful example. Look how clean the paint is on this one. I see one little rub on the yellow gauntlet, wrist gauntlet, but other than that, that's pretty much a perfect example of a Taiwan Fett. And it sold for $254, which is 205 pounds. I would have paid that all day long. And I think that was a really good buy. Next up, we got some Spanish figures to dig into. The first one is a Spanish POC FX7, number 2 date stamp. Another one that's not particularly hard to find, but UKG 80%. Pretty cool looking example. I think it got the 80 because the paint on that little arm that extends had obvious chipping to it. But that one sold for $58.50 in terms of pounds, so it's $73. I think that's a really good buy there for a Spanish FX7, and worth every penny to me. Next up was a Chewbacca Spanish PBP, graded UKG 85%. There are two kind of main variations for the Chewbacca PBP. This one is the floating D variant, where on the back of the leg, there's kind of a floating D that shows up on the COO. It's kind of hard to see it in this photo there, but the other one is a circle on foot variant, where on the bottom of the foot, there's an EPM, and engineering marking of a circle on the bottom of the foot. And this one is the floating D. They both go for about the same amount of money. I thought this was a good deal. 85 pounds, which is $104. I've got the circle on foot variant, but I do not have that floating D, so that's one I'll need to pick up. Chewbacca's got some wild eyes there. The Spanish factories are known for kind of weird paint schemes. Chewbacca looks like he has been doing some illicit drugs and attending a rave concert. So his eyes are quite dilated there. So pretty awesome figure though, but that one did sell for a good price, $105. Next up was a Spanish PBP Black Bespin security guard, graded UKG 80%. Had some obvious paint wear to the gold trim, which is common for these Spanish figures, but he too has some wacky looking eyes there. He is awfully excited about something. He is very excited about the new Ahsoka series. That one sold for 82 pounds and change, which is $102.50 US dollars. Another good price there. Here was a beautiful Spanish PBP Lando. This one was graded UKG 85%. I've got one very similar to this, similar condition. This one actually looks cleaner than mine. That's an AFA 85, but that's a beautiful example there. 85 was the overall score. Figure got a 90, paint 85, cape 85, no COO scar variation. And there's several different scar variations for the Spanish Lando. He's got a deep scar. He's got kind of a soft scar, but I've got one that looks like they took a chisel to the back of the leg. It's a really deep, deep scar. But this one sold for 132 pounds, which is 163 US dollars and change. This is the one I wanted to bid on. I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't bid on it because it sold for a song and a dance. This is the purple jacket Paleface Han Solo Hoth. So you can see it's got a very, very deep purple jacket and a very pale face there. He did have some bad rubs on the back of the head there, but UKG took mercy on it. They gave it a 75 for the paint, which I would agree with. The figure it got an overall 80%. I would call this really like an overall 75 just based on the head rubs there. But that's one I do need. I've got the Chocolate Legs Spanish POC, but I don't have the PBP yet. So this one is on my target list. So I probably should have bid on it, but I bought a bunch of baggies here lately, and I just feel like I didn't want to spend any more money. So this one did sell for 92 pounds, which is 113 US dollars. I thought that was a very, very good deal. That's a price. I would have paid way more than that personally. And, you know, a month from now, I'm going to be mad at myself for not buying that. Here's the big one. This is the one I really wanted to buy. I told Blacked Out Ewoks I wanted to bid on this, and I did. I bid on this for a while, and I was the leading bidder for a while, but I asked my friend Dustin B., who is a Yoda expert, and he said that this is very rare. This is a Spanish Pock apple head Yoda, and there's two different Spanish Pock Yodas where the heads are different. There's the gray head variation, and then there's the apple head variation like this one. He said that the apple head is much more rare, very tough to find in high grade, and so you can see there on the label, Pock apple head brown snake Yoda, straight 85s for the sub scores. Woo, boy. This is a stunner, and it's one I would love to have bought, but the price was just insane. It sold for about double, maybe a little bit less than double what I expected it to sell for. I think my target price was $650 to $750, and it sold for 1,020 pounds, which is 1,264 US dollars. So that is a massive price and well outside of my comfort zone for a Spanish Pock Yoda, but that was a beauty. It really was nice, and just an incredible final sales price on some of these high-grade gems that are very difficult to find. He also had a Lily Letty Regresso Yoda. This one was graded UKG 80%. A fairly common figure. It did have some hand rubs, as you can see there. Probably a little generous on the score, but it did get an overall 80. I would say this is more like a 75 or 75 plus personally. It still sold for 388 pounds, which is 482 US dollars, and a beautiful example. The early Returno variant can set you back $500 to $600 pretty easily, but this later Regresso variant with the brown snake did sell for about $482. This was another interesting one that I wanted to point out because I had never heard of it before, but I did verify it on Variant Villains on the web. And this is a hard torso. So this is a hard torso cloud car pilot made in Hong Kong. And there's several different variations for the Hong Kong cloud car pilot. I think I found 3 or 4 different variations, but the hard torso variation just means that it's a different kind of plastic used for the torso. And we obviously are aware of this Stormtrooper that also can have that hard torso variation, as well as the Hoth Snowtrooper. But this is one I had never seen before, and this one was graded UKG 80%, and it sold for a great price, 82 pounds, which is 101 US dollars. So that was another one I was tempted on, but I decided to pass. And the other seller, Treasures from the Attic, had a UKG 85% Hong Kong with the soft torso. So this one was not the hard torso variation. And that one graded UKG 85%. A little bit generous, I thought, because this leg had some light wear to it. You can see on that yellow boot on his left boot, some light wear to it. I probably would have given this an 80 plus type of thing. You could see the hand also had some wear to it. So to me, this one was overgraded. You can see a crack in his face as well. So to me, I don't know how this got an 85%. So I thought that one was overgraded. And in all fairness, the price reflected that. I think the market recognized that this one was probably overgraded. It only sold for 102 pounds, which is 126 US dollars. I mean, high-grade AFA examples can set you back 250 or more. So this one sold for about half that price. And I think it's because UKG was too generous with the crack on the face, the wear on the glove, wear on the boot. This is really like an 80 at best. So I think the market appropriately valued that one. Next up, we got some last 17 figures. We got a UKG 85% Han Solo in Carbonite. That one sold for 227 pounds, which is 281 US dollars. Very fair price on that one. A UKG 85% Imperial Gunner, just a stunner. That is every bit. I mean, it had a little bit of wear on the belt if you're being super picky, but this one looks like, to me, an 85%. Look how clean those emblems are. Just a beauty. Just a beauty. And 280 pounds, 347 US dollars. Next up was a UKG 85% A-Wing pilot. Probably a little overgraded. You can see some wear on the silver apparatus on his chest there. A little bit of wear on the hand. So you got to really look at closely and just decide for yourself whether these are appropriately graded or not. But to me, that one was probably a little high. 224 pounds, which is 277 US dollars. I mean, I see them go for that price loose and ungraded, so I thought that price was very fair. Next up was a Lando General, UKG 85%. Another one that I thought that this was probably appropriately graded. It looked very, very clean. Cape was in great shape, no frays to the cape at all. Straight 85s for the sub score. I would have paid this price all day long, which is 288 pounds or 357 US dollars. That one was definitely an 85% if you ask me. Next up, the other seller, You Change. I don't know who that is, but they had some beautiful high-grade examples. 90% for a UKG work. That one sold for 293 pounds, which is $363. And this one does not have any torso discoloration at all. So I thought that was a beautiful example of a last 17 work. Straight 90s for the sub-scores, man. Just some amazing UKG graded items this past weekend. Two different R2-D2 pop-up sabers sold. This one I thought was the better of the bunch. It had just light yellowing to the sticker, but it was graded UKG 80%. That one sold for 510 pounds, which is 632 US dollars. And then this one also sold, same grade, but I thought that the sticker was maybe slightly more yellowed. It could just be shadows, though. But the dome on that one was gorgeous. Look how clean that dome is. That one sold for 550 pounds, which is 681 US dollars. So two good data points there, 632 or 681 in terms of US dollars for a UKG pop-up lightsaber R2-D2. Next up, I also had two different Yakfaces that sold. One of them was UKG, one of them AFA. Here was the UKG 85%. Pretty beautiful example overall. One little light scuff on the crotch area, but overall, just a really nice example. That one sold for 435 pounds, which is 540 US dollars. And then here was an AFA example, old case style. That one sold for $576. So just absolute stunning items in this auction from two different UKG sellers. And to me, my favorite of the bunch was the Puck Applehead Yoda. But I mean, some of these early examples of the UKG 90% no COO Luke Farm Boy, $2,550. And then the R5D4 Red Bar that sold for $2,245. Just pretty mind-blowing in the current market environment where we've seen pretty consistent lower sales. These definitely showed you that collectors are willing to still pay up for rare variants and very high-grade variants. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.